Welcome back to another episode to What If Civilization Started Over. Now, the last episode we saw, as the title said, the rise of the Romans. It's quite a power. It's now number 2. Well, it was number 2, but it is definitely now number 2. This is the age of early empires, and the next era is going to be the era of instability. I changed the name. We're going to see three big empires collapse. Each episode will be focusing on that particular collapse, and maybe a few other countries collapse. We're even going to start seeing the age of collapse happening this episode with, as I hinted at in the last episode, the blue team. Maybe the lime team over here as well. So prepare for this map to look very more divided. So let's just get into the scenario. The first event of this episode is actually not going to be anything big happening on the map. It's an event for sure, but this is going to spiral into hopefully more colonization of Europe. There is a huge rock slide that happens over here in Greenland. This sends a massive wave of water just hurtling straight towards Europe. It actually sinks some coastal parts of Iceland. That's how big this wave is. It sinks some of that. Now, of course, once this water will be evenly dispersed later on. Iceland won't look as that. But this wave hurtles towards the European continent, and it makes first marks over here, Of course, it weakens over all this, but it's still a massive wave, flooding some of these. What the heck is that? That's weird. Flooding coastal regions in Scotland and even some Irish, and even in Ireland. This makes this. They believe this is an act of God. They did something wrong somehow, some way. Now they're punishing us, and this is an early warning that, hey, maybe we should move inland. So that's what a lot of these coastal European countries are going to do. Like the Orange Team, which is basically all coastal land. So they're desperately trying to get inland. They take a decent amount of land. Germany, they don't look like they're coastal, but they don't know how big this wave's going to be. This could just knock out like the Dutch team and the French team, or it could go further inland and knock them out. They don't know how big of a wave this is, so they're gonna actually take more land and become even more German. Yeah. They're Germany. What can I say? The blue French country is also gonna be expanded because they are mostly coastal. Leaving this kind of chunk in here in Central Europe, which the green team, listening to its people of wanting to expand, they, expand. Taking a weird little chunk of land. Remember, this team was weakened significantly in the last episode, and the people, they wanted to expand, but they didn't. Yeah. There's this weird, awkward chunk which nobody really wants. The German team can't expand much. Don't want that. That would be weird. The Orange team just took some of this land and is developing it. French country, once again, awkward. These two guys are mountain people. They don't want this land. And this green team can't expand too much. So there's going to be a new nation in the center of Europe. It's kind of big. I would add a capital, but it won't matter. You won't be able to see it, so I'll worry about that at a later point. After a little bit of time, they realized they acted a little outlandish, and, they realized they may have made a mistake by colonizing some land. I mean, it's never really a mistake, but, they realized maybe we should have overreacted. After being some time, during that time, Ireland's fully colonized by the Welsh team. Picking up brown teams. Let's go to the farmers' country over here. Remember, these guys were kinda the fields, and they didn't want to and they felt like they weren't being treated as equally as down here. So, and they haven't done much expanding, and they want more farmland, so they expand and take and kind of connect up with over here, especially in the west, east. This is the east. Connect up Europe and leaving the circle right here. Now we're gonna go to trade routes. I didn't really do that much with this. In the last episode, it was a brand new thing, but didn't really come up. But there's a big push to connect trade routes into Northern Europe, especially by Northern European countries. They want the goods that are down here. They want better and easier access to goods. So what they're gonna do is out here in the west, especially because there wasn't a connection until very recently in the east, but they do connect up these cities in the east and start pushing it outwards, but not that far because there wasn't any point to it. We'll be doing more expansion, but more importantly, it's over here. So first, they continue this route up here, connect to the capital, before crossing over that little bit and going over to the capital of the blue team. While this is happening, the trade route that was over here, this country still doesn't have a capital. The capital's right there. They actually connect up the city with the capital since, why not? It's just a little spur. They kind of forced this country wanted it to be connected to their thing. It was fine. We'll build a little spur, but it doesn't really connect up to anything. But continuing with this trade route, they connected up out here and connected up with these cities and down to the capital. This route makes a detour out here before making a sharp turn up here towards Normandy and continue up northwards, and eventually connecting up the capital, connecting up the trade route. Now, this trade route, after a few years after completion, pushes a lot of population to be funneled through here. It's the only one right now, so a lot of things are getting funneled through here. So this is increasing the GBD. This is increasing money and population for all these countries, especially the countries that just expanded. Good for them. This green team is like, I want to be connected up, and they're like, hey, you started down there, let's connect them, but they're like, no. But they're like, yes. So they kind of start doing it, but like, it barely doesn't touch, and now they just have a weird little thing. Eventually they meet up with the two Swiss countries, and they start building a trade route out here, but it's not quite finished, so this is just weird. It's taking a lot of convincing from the purple team to just connect it. Like, it meets, like, right at the border, but, like, they don't continue it to the border. They stop this, like, directly at the border, but they just don't expand it. But they do expand this trade route out here, and it's going to connect up this capital. Eventually, out here out west, these trade routes are also expanded, connecting up more capitals to the trade route, and eventually started heading up north. There's a lot of push to connect this one, because this connects the brown team country with this dark red country, since this is a very farm-based country, and they want the goodies that comes with farming. That is really, they're trading a lot of their resources, especially down to, like, the purple team, which they're probably pretty farmer-focused, being in Romania, and the former red team countries and whatnot. But that's all we're going to do with trade routes right now. Next, we're going to go to the Swedish team. The Swedish team is kind of a power that just popped up. They kind of expanded rapidly, expanding out all across. You can see their borders, but they start expanding up north, trying to wrap around here and connect up with their Finnish section. The Finnish side does the same, but it's cold up here, so eventually, after a multitude of years, like the time it took to connect these trade routes up, they connect. It's very cold, and while this makes their borders kind of weird, they also do explore around here from their Estonia colony. Would you consider this a colony? But they kind of connect around there. They they wrap around there. They expand their Estonian parts, more the Baltic part, and eventually they don't quite meet up. They explore the St. Petersburg area and whatnot. Now these countries are actually this country is gonna go to war with someone. Who, you may ask? The Polish team. Why are they going toward the Polish team? They want this island. They've wanted it, but the Polish team captured it probably before they were even formed. They're gonna take this island, and the Poles are gonna be like, "What the hell? Why did you do that?" The Poles are gonna take this, but they're gonna take it regardless. And eventually they land on Polish soil. I don't think there's any major cities. There is major cities. They're gonna take this land and eventually push in. I do realize my mistake with peace treaties. There wouldn't be that many peace treaties, so I'm gonna try and avoid doing peace treaties. They're just gonna straight up take land. Anyway, they're gonna take more land and they're gonna take and they're gonna take this northern part. They push near capital and even capture the capital, and I don't know if they agree. Fine, we'll give you the island. Saying, nuh-uh, we're gonna take a bit more land. So eventually, they agree. They're gonna take this northern section. They're gonna take this northern section where they captured, and they're also gonna agree that they'll free a nation. They'll create a buffer state right here. But they're gonna form a buffer state here nonetheless. They're going to create a buffer state, and, well, that's what they're going to do. I don't know what else you want me to say. I'm going to make sure this won't mess anything up, but I think I'm good. So this is kind of the new borders in Northern Europe. The Swedish team is kind of bringing their might into very big question. This blue team's capital is gonna be, do they even have yeah, they have one major city. Thank God. They do have one major city, so they're obviously gonna be right here in that major city. Which is a good thing for them. I think that's actually on the trade route. Good for them. So, clearly, the Swedish team ain't messing around. This is kind of the third empire out of the three big boys. The Empire, the Romans, and the Vikings. They all kind of have their IRL counterparts. We got the Ottomans, the Romans, and the Vikings. But completely by accident. I swear it was by accident. Didn't plan for that. So let's go over here to where this country rapidly expanded. Now, I did say they were densely populated, which that was true for their smaller size. But once they kind of expanded like this, they didn't really, they weren't that densely populated to get all this land. And well, they take the Maldives, which that already makes their empire that's already spread thin, even thinner. And well, they started taking over here in northern Sri Lanka, and the people said, we've had enough. And well, multiple groups are gonna break away. And it's gonna look something like this. And this is what it looks like. Most notably, this main Indian country took a decent amount of land. They went in there to keep the peace, but to be honest, we all know what really happened. They wanted land. And this is kind of the first ripple of the age of instability. We can kind of see starting out here in the east. This country exploded into like 5 different countries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, I got it correct. 4 different countries, technically, because this is the main one. Their capitals, some of these countries don't even have major cities, so most of them do, besides the green team. Unfortunate for them. The pink team's capital is going to be right here. This weird reddy brown country's capital is going to be right here. Light blue team's capital is going to be right there. The green team's capital is going to be actually here. Light blue team is going to be the one to take the Maldives. I don't realize I didn't color those in, but I'm going to color them in now. Yeah, so now we have a lot of different countries out here in the east now. Looking all very nice, may I add. The next event that's going to be happening is going to be over here in Asia, Central Asia. The dark red team over here heard rumors of there being more land out here, so they're gonna start actually exploring out here, trying to connect up with lakes. Unfortunately, they all die. Most of the explorers that die because there is any water or anything, and they're gonna see this and say, well, damn, that was unfortunate. So we're gonna expand our territory around this lake. I don't know what this lake is called, not even gonna lie. I don't think that's the Adriatic. Is this the Adriatic? I need to learn geography. I'm not a geography channel. But things pan out here, and with that, green team's just like, hey, we gotta do this evenly. We gotta keep balance in the universe, and they start expanding. And they also kind of expand out here. Now, there's a kind of there's people in all three of these countries in the Circle Alliance that are thinking, do we have to be part of all this, like, rivalry with the Empire? I mean, they're just kind of chilling. They haven't done much. So they're going to actually form their own country out here. This country is going to be, well, there's no oranges around. We'll make this a light orange. I think just an orange will look good. They're going to form their own country right here. It's kind of an awkward little country. They also explore more out here. I think we're getting into Himalayan territory thinking on it. I don't think they would realistically go into the Himalayas quite yet. But this is a large group of people, and they take all that land. I will add, which kind of fills in this nicely, and we're going to do a slight border rework right here. I hate how this border looks. And here's the border rework. That looks a lot nicer. I think we can all agree. Hey, there's a little exclave there. We're going to keep that. That's kind of funny. No wars or anything. It's just this border looks a lot nicer now. I think we can all agree on that. We have to redo the states map mode for over here, though. It kind of looks a bit ugly, but oh well. That's future me problems. So this new country out here, people not joining an alliance. This country is trying to be kind of neutral. It's like a big Switzerland. Kind of fits nicely with these countries, though. It's about the same size as all these countries. It's very nice. Countries around Europe, their technology is increasing rapidly. We're kind of we're starting to get into more of medieval technology, crossbows, swords. We're moving further away. I feel like at this point we will have been in the medieval era, but whatever. At this point we're at the Roman age. Of course, they're probably a lot more advanced than medieval, but that's gonna, well, I guess it makes more sense since we're gonna have the age of instability with the top 3 countries just collapsing overnight. That kinda has an effect on technology, but the Romans are gonna do something. They're gonna expand out here. They're gonna colonize more of Africa. This is probably mostly the gold team, maybe a slight of the purple team. And remember, these are kind of like Britain. It's kind of like Britain, but they colonize a lot of northern Africa. Even being up and getting a first African border in between with the Empire and the Roman Empire. Their border is, well, it's a border. What do you want me to say? It's a border. The Swedish are going to be expanding again. They're going to expand more over here, kind of defeating the purpose of the border state right here by bordering them over here. Actually, no, I lied. The Poles are going to be expanding, taking more land. This border state, it's kind of weird. It wants to expand, and then it would look kind of weird. So, but at the same time, they don't care. They don't care about borders at this time. So they're gonna be expanding like this, and then this German team right here is like, wait, what? No. So they're gonna expand, making the borders look weird. And now the borders over here is very weird, and this country has a tail. That's a little weird. Don't ask me why they did that. There's probably like one fort there, and that's why. So the border state expands. It's very weird looking. The Swedes are still gonna, the Swedes and probably the farmer people in Poland, they're gonna go more and furthermore into, explore more into Siberia, not Siberia, but into Russia. They also explore over here. Are they exploring the mountains? Probably not. But I don't want weird gray spots. The only weird gray spot I'll allow is the Himalayas, because that wouldn't make any sense. Eventually, they expand all the way. Eventually, they expand all of Scandinavia. And, well, I think all of mainland Europe probably explored at this point. It's kind of cold up here, so no one's claiming this land, but they don't care. The Swedes are gonna expand furthermore up here. Their population is booming. All these countries' population are booming because of the trade route link up. And so they expand quite a lot, actually. Eventually, they connect up their Estonia colony. Well, they're a big boy. They're a big boy. They're definitely... May I say maybe the Romans lost the number 2 spot to the Vikings? Now, the Swedes, they're gonna be a little... There's been some border issues about Copenhagen. They want all this island now. Not just that little chunk. But these people are like, no, why would we do that? And they say, because you're nice, and they say no. And so the Swedes move into the island, and they're like, why? We want the island, and they say no, and they take the island. They take this island, and they take a lot of this. Former Danish team, they're gonna hop onto this and start taking land over here. And because they're definitely more powerful than these people, and they start expanding rapidly. And they take more land, and generally, and they don't, maybe not all come in arms, but they're not like angry about it, and eventually they take all this, and they just kind of leave the border like that, since I kind of like. We're moving to the Empire. The Empire's current leader, ruler, has always been kind of tyrannical, but it's only rampant up in his old age. And people are getting sick of him. People realize, why should we have to deal up with this? What's the point of dealing with this? So, and after the leader executes some of the most popular figures of the Empire, open rebellion starts over here in Egypt. One of their last countries to invade, but they've had quite enough. And a massive rebellion group pops up. When this happens, the Empire's like, shit. This happens, and the Empire's like, oh crap. Eventually, and after a few days of them not handling the rebellion well, a coalition forms. The coalition are these. All Circle Team Alliance countries. That's the wrong thing. The coalition follows all Circle Team members, the Romans, the red teams, these two red teams in particular, and the light blue country. We got number 2 and like 3 and I think even 4 and a whole bunch of other countries all fighting against the Empire with a rebellion rebellion group in open arms, which will probably technically also be part of the coalition. And that's where we're going to end this episode of What If Civilization Started Over. I hope y'all enjoyed this episode. Sorry for the cliffhanger. And well, see y'all in the next episode.